mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to week 7 of Planning for Profit. Today's topic is labor. We have 3 speakers today: Ken Hart with University of Idaho Extension, Eli Bailey with Raygear Tree Farms, and Diane Green, Green Tree Naturals. I'm Colette D. Phelps, and I'll be facilitating the webinar today. Cinda is at a conference, so she's not with us tonight. So Diane is going to be running the question and answer sessions. Tips for the webinar: please close all the other programs running on your computer and switch to the telephone if you're having any problems with the sound. If you do use the phone, please mute your computer. That will make you have a better experience in terms of the audio. If you can type the questions for the speakers in during the presentation, that will be really helpful because tonight we have a really full schedule. I wanted to quickly review the assignments, and they are online on the class Moodle website. So it's to read Chapter 6, Effective Management, in the Organic Farmer's Business Handbook. And then you have links to look at the labor and insurance sections of the direct marketing handbooks for your state. Also to read Human Resource Strategy from Building a Sustainable Business, and that is, again, a link. And then to complete worksheets 4.18 and 4.19, which are looking at your workforce needs. And then we're asking you to share in the discussion forum what the workforce needs are for your farm and whether or not you feel that you have the skills to do everything that needs to be done, and are you planning on making any changes in your workforce this year. And then, of course, to comment on a couple of other posts. So our first speaker tonight is Ken Hart, and he's going to be talking about hiring farm labor. So Ken, I am giving you the keyboard and mouse, so you should be able to click on it and take it away.
Okay, thank you, Colette, and welcome everyone. It's a nice afternoon. I hope it's sunny where you're at. It seems like it's been a very long month of gray skies, so it's nice to have some, or at least long late winter of gray skies, but we've really appreciated the moisture. My name's Ken Hart. Again, I work for the University of Idaho, and just a little background for you as far as labor goes and family farming. I started farming. My father-in-law called me up way back in 1978 and asked my wife and I if we would be interested in coming back to the farm, which we did. And so I've had quite a few years of experience with family labor issues and not quite as much experience with personal experience with hired labor issues, but some. So my talk today, this first talk is going to focus on hiring employees, and a little bit later we'll have more information about that also. Then my second part of the day we'll talk about family employees. So let's get going, and the first thing we had, okay. Oh, there we go.
So I'll go ahead and launch that poll. So the first poll we have tonight is, do you employ non-family labor on your farm? So 100% of people have voted. I'll share the results. So 100% said no.
Okay.
And Ken, you can
go again?
Yep, you can take the keyboard and mouse back.
Okay, here we go then. Well, that's interesting and that's informative because we're all in the same boat right here as far as perhaps looking in the future of perhaps hiring labor that's not part of the family.
Okay. So you just need to click the mouse on the screen, and then you can use your page up and down buttons.
Thanks for the help. Where's the mouse on the screen?
Oh, you've got it now, so you should be able to go ahead and do page down or however you, arrow key, however you do that on your computer.
Okay. It's not going. Yeah, I'm sorry, Colette, it's not. Oh, it's not moving.
Okay, well it says that you have the keyboard and mouse, but I can certainly move it for you.
All right, thanks a lot. That'd be great. Okay, the first thing I'd like to talk about is, first of all, if you're all in the possible future, somewhere in your future of considering an employee, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, do you really need that employee? And especially where nobody's currently that's on the class tonight using non-family employees, this is an important question. And the first question, or the first aspect of that question is this business, is the farm business profitable? Is it profitable enough to consider adding an employee and expanding in that direction? If you feel like that answer is the business growing, is it profitable overall? If the answer to that question is yes, it's still not time to hire an employee. The next step is to say, if I'm going to hire an employee, if I'm going to expand my business or maybe change the way tasks are assigned in the farm business, then I'm going to have to put together a step-by-step plan for that and make sure that the cost of the employee and the changes that the employee bring to the business warrant hiring that employee. And then there's another question I just always ask myself is, what is the real need here? I mean, that's kind of a head question, but it's kind of a heart question too. So it's beyond just the profitability and cost side of things, but a hired employee brings in a whole different realm to your farm business, a whole different, can entirely change the feeling of the business, and it's important, really important to consider that also. If you feel like, yeah, I think it's going to work, I have a good plan in place, the next question is, but wait a minute, maybe I could shift responsibilities within the farm, the current employees or within the family employees in order to cover how this person would be hired. Or maybe if you have some off-farm income, you could go ahead and move that person, that family member, into full-time employment on the farm and cover those responsibilities that a new employee might handle. And then what that profit center focus is if you remember when we talked about enterprise budgets, that's profit center is another way to describe an enterprise. And if you know that certain aspects of your business are more profitable, then your business expansion should focus on those aspects that are more profitable, and employment should be focused towards those aspects that are more profitable. The mistake sometimes made is we hire people to do things that we don't want to do, whether or not that's going to increase or maintain our profitability. It might actually take away from the business just because we're hiring a person that's something that we don't want to do. Okay, next slide, please, Colette. The next thing is, after we decide that yes, we do want to hire an employee, then we need to focus on the question of just who is this employee, not specific person, but what type of person and what responsibilities and skill set do we want to look for in a person. I remember a quote somewhere along the line that said, a good manager hires a great person and then gets out of the way and lets them do their job. And that's partly what we need to do, is determine what that great person needs to look like. And so it's a careful, once we've looked at where we're going to place the person in the business, then what specifically are those job requirements? Just make a list of every possible aspect of the job that you can consider, and then take all those job requirements and put them into a written job descriptions. I am 100% fan of written job descriptions. They save a lot of communication problems, and they add to the correctness, I guess, of the job. It'll also help you formulate whether or not you're being realistic about your plans. Once you write out those job description details, you know, you can start out by writing a job description for yourself just for practice. It's an interesting experience, and see just how well you fit what you're currently doing, and then gives you some good practice. But for this new person you were wanting to hire, consider what kind of skills do they need to bring. If they don't have those skills, what kind of training do you have available to be able to offer them? I always look, when I'm looking for an employee, I always look for an employee that will make up for my deficiencies. The main employees I hire these days are employees in my extension office, and they're always almost opposite of me because they make up for all my own deficiencies with skills that they have. So you can look for the skills that your farm family has, and if you're going to hire labor, look for skills you could bring into that that would complement but build on the skill set that your farm family members that are employed or contribute to the labor of the farm have. Another issue which will be talked about later, I think, in both of our other speakers, is the issue of seasonal versus full-time. Of course, farm labor, it's not the same every day. It's not the same job every day, and it's not the same amount of labor required by season. Yet, good employees want full-time jobs, and to get the best employee, if you're able to offer a full-time job, you can usually recruit a much better and more skilled employee than you can for seasonal jobs. But there are some seasonal job pools that we can look at, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. And then another common barrier in agriculture as far as who you're trying to hire is language barriers, because there are a lot of workers with different native languages than English, and if that, in particular in certain aspects of agriculture in Idaho, I think it's more prominent in southern Idaho, but up here in North Idaho, I know there's tree planting crews and other crews that you know, have come from different cultures with different language backgrounds, and that needs to be consideration if you're going to hire somebody. Not really get into it any further than that. Okay, next slide, please, Colette.